Welcome to a very special edition of Coffee With. We're at Cobb House with Janet Akers and looking at her exhibit in celebration of women's circles. This is a very interesting project that is really the brainchild of Janet Akers, and we're so fortunate to have her and her talents and her gifts in our community. This was a project she started about 5 years ago, and it picked up speed very quickly about a year ago, and now she's at the point where she has this exhibit. I kind of got drawn into this when my book club group was invited to decorate some of the figurines, and this is members of my group. This is our circle, and then from there it just got more and more interesting to me as I got to know Janet and learned what she was doing and why she was doing it. And as we chatted, I realized the ripple effect that this has in our community and really in the state, and who knows how far this will go, Janet. So we thank you so much for what you've done, and we're looking forward to taking a look at your exhibit, which is here at the Cobb House, and will be running through March the 31st.
That's right. I bought a book by Janet Akers about women's groups, and she talks in there about the value of women's groups to the women that are in them, to helping them grow, as well as the women that are associated with those women in the group and their friends and family, and how when one person is affected, it affects the other people, and the fact that society itself could be affected by all of this. So I liked the idea of the ripple effect. So my idea for this show was to have women decorate the figures, and they were women in a group, so I can show the group, but then I can show other groups and how the women from one group are connected to the women to the other group, and how the group has affected them, and maybe how it might affect society in general.
You know, one of my book club group came and decorated a group of the figurines, and it was such a fun thing to come and sit in your studio and do that. Did the other women who came into your studio, did they have the same experience that we did when we came there?
Yes. Some of the women came in and felt like they couldn't do anything, they were not creative. Mm-hmm. It may have taken them a little while to warm up, but they had a great time. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the groups talked about what they did as a group. So they were talking about going to somebody's house for Christmas or baking cookies. So they were able to reminisce. And it was fun for me to listen to that. But then they also talked about what was going on in their daily lives. And it was like a little interlude for them, something creative, and they were completely taken out of their life. But they could catch up with their friends and have a little bit of a kind of cut and paste and draw. It's like going back to kindergarten. So
it was kind of it felt like a little escape when we were in there, escape from reality.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
like a little time away, like the world kind of stopped for a couple of hours.
It did.
Yeah,
didn't
it was really great.
Right.
So tell us, here's a group you have right here, which is a fairly large group. What group is this?
This is a group called BB Queens out of Jackson, and it's mostly a book club, but they met at somebody's house that's an artist, Roz Roy in Jackson, and she has a great feeling studio. It's light and bright, and these women came in and they worked on art in there, and she only knew a few of them to begin with, but she had such a great time with these women that they're going to meet once a month and do an art project.
Great. So that ripple effect.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly the ripple effect. And what group is this?
This is called the Thursday Covenant Group, and it's a group of women that meet from a particular church, and they meet every Thursday morning to catch up with each other and to make sure that they are living as they want to live spiritually.
I know this looks like it's a New Year group to me.
Yes.
This is your group, right?
This is my group.
And what is the name of your group?
We're the birthday lunch bunch because we meet for birthday lunches once a month, and we meet for the birthday of the person that is having a birthday that month. And then we also have unbirthday lunches for the rest of the time.
Is that what the candle is on the back of it?
That's what the candle is.
That took me a little while. That just dawned on me.
Yes, everybody has a candle.
You know what strikes me overall as I walk through the exhibit and look around is that each figurine is as different as each woman.
Yes, absolutely. Now this is a group of artists, so you might expect that they were different. Everyone did what appealed to them. Yeah. But even the group that you saw this Thursday, Covenant group, they used the same materials that I've given other groups. Paint pens, magazines that they cut out images and decoupaged on. And still, if you look at them and the other groups that did the same thing, they're all different.
They're individual. They're unique. I think this one is so interesting. It looks like acid wash floors that people have, concrete. But you were telling me that this is something different. Explain to us what this is.
This is wood glue, which has a yellow cast when it dries. So the wood glue was painted on the figure. Some places it's thicker and some it's thinner. And then after it's dried, you take it outside and you hit it with a torch, handheld torches.
Yes.
And where you put a lot of torch to it, it turns darker. And you can see where it had bubbled before. And where there's not very much, some of it is lighter. And it makes this absolutely beautiful finish that would be hard to do any other way.
It's beautiful. Janet, one of the things that occurred to me, because I know that having taught classes in the past and other things where, as the leader, I've had to do a lot of preparation, that oftentimes the teacher or the leader is the person who gets the most or a lot out of some project or course or something. And I'm wondering what effect this project had on your life.
Well, when I first thought of the project several years ago, I just kind of envisioned the circles, that women would decorate them, that they would travel, that they'd be on exhibit together, but I never thought about the women that were making them. And that has been kind of awe-inspiring to me, that the women have been so excited about it. Some of the women that know about them in advance plan. They go to Hobby Lobby and buy supplies. The quilters brought all their quilting materials. Some of them that painted worked it out in their head beforehand. And it's just been absolutely amazing to see what they have come up with.
Yeah.
And the value that they have placed on the entire experience has been beyond anything that I would have ever believed.
Well, it's an amazing thing. You mentioned as it travels, do you have plans for it to go on exhibit in other parts of Mississippi or throughout the country, or do you?
Well, I would like it to stay in Mississippi for a year and travel around, and I have contacted some art museums about having it on display there. And then after that, I want it to travel outside of the area. But because a lot of people do not value Mississippi, I think it needs to stay here for a year.
Excellent. Now, as it goes to another town in Mississippi, what are your plans for when it goes to a local community? Like if it goes to Hattiesburg, let's say.
Well, I have 24 groups that have done it in and around Mississippi. I would like the exhibit to expand. So every location that I go, I intend to ask them to find me a group or 2 or 3 groups that would work on the figures there in that area. So that they would go on display in the city where they were created and add to the collection and give it a local flair.
So this could really get pretty long.
I am assuming it will, yes.
And then when the exhibition is completely over, are you going to have a figurine museum? Or No. Because women have valued this so much, I've told all of them that they will get their figures back. And I'm keeping a log of its journeys, and I will get that to them as well. But all of the figures have the name and the group name inside, and I will get them back when it's done. Oh, maybe it might be 3 years. They might have to rotate out if the exhibit continues. If it gets really large.
Yes.
You know, one thing you told me early on when you and I were talking about this is that it kind of took on a life of its own. Yeah. And I until I saw the exhibit actually set up. You know, I had seen some of the figurines in other places when you and I had talked, but until you see really the physicality of women in a group supporting each other, and they've come and made this as a part of them, now I understand how it takes on a life of its own.
It has.
And it's amazing. It really touches my soul and in ways that I don't even know I can describe, really. It's really Amazing, and we thank you so much for coming up with this idea, and it had to be a tremendous amount of work for you, and certainly something very valuable for our community. We thank you so much.
Well, I was honored to get the idea and to be able to exhibit it here. I was very happy that Annette agreed to it. I didn't know if it would work in the house, but it's been great.
It looks wonderful. So the exhibit will be at the Cobb House at Southern Cultural Heritage Center until March the 31st.
That's right.
And we hope that many people will come and experience this exhibit because it is definitely unique.